In example number 2, now we're going to find or evaluate a determinant of a 3 by 3 as compared to example number 1, that was a determinant of a 2 by 2. And so this is kind of how this works. So we're going to use what we learned from finding a determinant of a 2 by 2 when we find it in a 3 by 3, and this is how it works. We need to first either choose one of the columns or one of the rows, and it doesn't matter which one we do. We're always going to get the same answer. So in this example, we're going to use the first column. Okay, and I'm just going to highlight that right now. Okay, so probably yellow would be better there. So let's do that right there. So I'm going to use this column to find the determinant by evaluating that. So, but again, it doesn't matter which column or what row you use. You just got to choose one of them. All right, and so now this is how this works here. So what we're going to do here is that since we're going to use this column for this first one, I'm just going to put a line through it here, and I'm going to do one more right here. And so what we do is using what I have right here. See how it has plus, minus, plus? Okay, so since I'm using this right here, I know that my 3 terms, I guess you can say, that's the order that they have to be in as far as signs. So I know I'm going to have a plus, minus, plus, and so I'm going to show you how we use that when we find this determinant here. Okay. So what we do here is we see how this is 0 here. That was our first number, so I'm going to say 0, positive 0, but we don't care about the positive, but I'm just saying because that's where this positive came from. And now, see how we have this 2 by 2? Now we're going to take the determinant of that. So we're going to do 0 times the determinant of 4, 2, 1, 5. Okay? So that's the first term there. We have to do this 3 times. So now what we do, okay, now how do we do our second term? Again, we are using this column, so now I have to take this thing that I've crossed out, and I'm going to cross out the second one and check out what I do now. Now I'm going to take this 2, okay, see this 2 right here? But now it's a minus sign, so it's going to be minus 2. And now look what I have. Again, I have a 2 by 2 right here. I'm going to take that, that determinant. So negative 1, 0, and 1, 5. Okay, if you want to find our third term, you move this down 1. And again, this is 3, and notice that this is positive. So now I'm going to do plus 3. And what am I left with? I'm left with this guy right here. Negative 1, 0, 4, 2. Okay, so before I evaluate this, let me just review this one more time on how did this whole thing even work. All right, so let me just kind of delete that and that there. Okay, so anytime that you have a 3 by 3 determinant, you first have to pick either one of the columns or one of the rows. Okay, and so in this case, I just chose the first column. Each of these numbers, 0, 2, 3, becomes the coefficient, I guess you can say, of that determinant. It becomes these 3 numbers right here. And here, like, I'll just highlight that in yellow for us. Okay, so that's where the 0 came from, the 2, and the 3. Now, the signs of each of these numbers comes from this right here. You see, since I used that first column, I have to use this, what we call an array of signs, and it always does this. Plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, and the next one it starts off with a minus sign. Minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, and so forth. So if you had a 4 by 4 or a 5 by 5 determinant, which I would never do by hand, but if you had to do it by hand, you would use this pattern. Okay, so that's how you get these numbers, and that's how you get these coefficients. Okay, now how do you get these determinants? Well, like you just cross out, right? So if I'm doing my first number here, I just go 1 across there, and now I use this right here is how I got my 4, 2, 1, 5. See, 4, 2, 1, 5. Okay, and then I could just move that down, right? And then now that's how I got negative 1, 0, 1, 5. Negative 1, 0, 1, 5. And then if I move that down, that's how I got negative 1, 0, 4, 2, negative 1, 0, 4, 2. All right, so hopefully that's clear on how I get all of those things. And now it's just a matter of doing a 2 by 2 determinant, which is much simpler now. All right, so let's do that here. So this is 4 times 5. So this is 0 times 4 times 5, which is 20, minus 2 times 1, so minus 2. Here, this is negative 2 times negative 1 times 5, which is negative 5, minus 1 times 0, which is just 0. And then here I have 3 times negative 1 times 2, which is negative 2, minus 4 times 0, which is 0. All right, great. So now we just do our arithmetic here. So 20 minus 2, that's going to give us 18. And let's go ahead and do this right here. Negative 5 minus 0 is 0 times negative 2, which is going to be negative 10, actually positive 10. And then here, negative 2 minus 0 is negative 2, times 3 is going to give us negative 6 right there. And now to finish this off here, we need to, oh, wait a minute, actually this right here should be 0, right? Because 0 times 18 is actually just going to be 0. So let me just fix that there. Great, so that's 0 right there. So 10 minus 6 is going to give us 4. So bam. A lot of work right there, but that's how we get, that's how you find a determinant of a 3 by 3, and our answer is